10 R&B groups looked at the voice that made them, the reason people showed up, the reason records sold, the reason anybody knew their name, and said, "We don't need you anymore." Some fired them in a meeting, some did it with a vote, some just stopped giving them what they were worth until they had no choice but to walk. And then every single one of them had to go back. Number 10, Naturi Naughton and 3LW. Here's what most people forget about 3LW. They were supposed to be the Cheetah Girls, not inspired by them, not similar to them, literally them. The Cheetah Girls movie was developed with 3LW in mind, 3 girls plus Raven Simonet. And there was one girl in that group who could actually hold a screen, who had range, who was already the one you kept watching when they performed. Her name was Naturi Naughton. She was 16 years old when 3LW broke through in 2000 with No More, Baby I'ma Do Right. She was the one you noticed. And somewhere in the middle of the Cheetah Girls negotiations, the other 2 members had a meeting with Disney, a meeting they didn't invite Naturi to. By the time she found out, the decision had already been made. She was no longer going to be in the group. But here's where the story turns, because before that Disney meeting ever happened, there was a confrontation. An argument that escalated into something Naturi has talked about publicly, and Keely Williams has essentially confirmed: fried chicken, thrown, not shared, thrown at Naturi's face. You want to know what happens when you push someone out that way? You find out what they were carrying. Naturi Naughton auditioned 5 times for the role of Lil' Kim in the Notorious B.I.G. biopic, Notorious. 5 times. She got it. Then she went to Power on Stars, one of the most watched shows on the network, and played Tasha St. Patrick for 6 seasons. Knock Image Award. Adrienne Bailon apologized publicly. Years later, they reconnected, and 3LW released their second album, A Girl Can Mac, in 2002, with Naturi still on the cover. It went nowhere. They brought in a replacement, signed with So Def, got dropped, dissolved. The girl they threw out of the group became the reason anyone still remembers the group existed. And if you're one of the people who watched Power from the beginning, just because of Tasha, you already know. Number 9, Little Anthony Bourdain and the Imperials. Tears on My Pillow. That aching, heartbroken falsetto, the voice that disc jockey Alan Freed heard and immediately named Little Anthony, stopped people mid-step. It went top 5 on both the pop and R&B charts. A star was born. And then, 3 years later, the group let him walk. It wasn't a dramatic firing. It was quieter than that, which sometimes makes it worse. Success had tapered off by 1961. The follow-ups weren't hitting, and Little Anthony left to try a solo career. The remaining Imperials tried to carry on. They brought in new vocalists, tried different sounds, had, according to every account of that era, very little success. And here's what's wild. Anthony's solo run didn't do much either. Neither direction worked without the other. So in late 1963, roughly 2 years after the split, Little Anthony came back. Stay with me on this part, because this is where the story gets genuinely interesting. The reconstituted Imperials signed with DCP Records and connected with songwriter and producer Teddy Randazzo. And what happened next wasn't just a reunion, it was a rebirth that eclipsed everything the first era had done. I'm on the outside, looking in 1964, top 15 on both charts. Going Out of My Head, later that year, top 10 pop. Hurt So Bad in 1965, top 10 pop, top 3 R&B. Songs so melodically perfect they became pop standards, covered dozens of times over the following decades. The second era was bigger than the first. Think about that. Without the split, without the failure, without the crawling back, there might not have been Going Out of My Head. Without the pride, there might not have been The Lesson. And without the lesson, there's no legacy. Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 8, Ben E. King and the Drifters. In 1958, a singer born Benjamin Nelson joined a group that had just been completely replaced by their own manager. George Treadwell owned the name The Drifters, not the people, just the name. And when he felt like it, he swapped out the entire lineup. The new Drifters, led by Benjamin Nelson, would go on to record some of the most enduring R&B music ever put to tape. There Goes My Baby in 1959, This Magic Moment, and in 1960, Save the Last Dance for Me, which hit number 1. But in May of 1960, Benjamin Nelson, who was by then calling himself Ben E. King, went to Treadwell and asked for a raise, a fairer share of what his voice had built. Stand by me. Treadwell said no, and King had no choice but to walk. When you won't pay someone what they're worth, you've fired them. You've just made them do the paperwork themselves. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Ben E. King had written a song he wanted the Drifters to record. He brought it to the group. The manager rejected it. So Ben E. King left, went to the studio with producers Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, and recorded it himself. The song was called Stand By Me. It hit number 4 on the pop charts in 1961. Then it came back in 1987 when Rob Reiner used it for his film of the same name and went top 10 again 26 years later. By 2012, the royalties from that one song had topped $22 million. BMI named it the 4th most performed song of the 20th century. The Drifters rejected Stand By Me. Let that land for a second. And then, Atlantic Records kept calling Ben E. King back to record with various Drifters lineups, paying him to bring that sound back. In 1982, King officially joined an 80s version of the Drifters and toured with them until the group reorganized in 1986. They wouldn't give him a raise. He took the greatest song of his career with him, and then they needed his voice to fill their stages anyway. If you've ever done everything right, given everything you had, and still been told you weren't worth what you were asking, you know exactly how that walk out the door felt.
Stand by me.
And you know what it means to prove it later.
Stand by me.
Number 7, Dawn Robinson and In Vogue. When In Vogue formed in Oakland in 1989, 4 women created something that the music industry genuinely couldn't categorize.
What's it gonna be? 'Cause I can't resist.
Strong, sophisticated, musically gifted, visually commanding. They weren't just good, they were the blueprint.
They know my heart is sweet.
Hold on, free your mind. My Lovin', You're Never Gonna Get It. Songs that sound just as sharp today as they did on the radio at whatever house party or cookout you first heard them.
Has got me so confused. You got
And then there was Dawn Robinson. Dawn was the edge, the rasp, the one whose voice cut through everything else and said, "Pay attention."
what they're gonna be. 'Cause I can't resist.
And in 1996, they gave her the lead on a song called Don't Let Go, Love. It went #1 worldwide, the biggest hit In Vogue ever had. Dawn's voice carrying the whole thing.
You're not around, and I won't be sad.
And then in March of 1997, right before the third album EV3 was ready to release, contract negotiations between Dawn and the group reached a stalemate. The details have been told different ways over the years. Dawn says she was pushed out for signing a solo deal. The other members say she chose to leave, and they begged her not to go. Terry Ellis has said, "Never in a million years would I have thought that she would leave. They had to go back into the studio and re-record her lead vocals. I'll let you decide who you believe. But what happened next is not in dispute." In Vogue continued as a trio. Dawn joined Lucy Pearl in 1999 with Raphael Sadiq and Ali Shaheed Muhammad. Their debut album sold over 1 million copies. Dance Tonight was a hit, but the door between her and In Vogue was never fully closed.
What's it gonna be? 'Cause I'm running in.
The remaining members have said this repeatedly over the years. They've always wanted Dawn back. She rejoined for a tour in 2005. She appeared with them at the 2008 BET Awards. She came back for the 20th anniversary tour in 2009. And every time, it falls apart. Here's what gets me about this one. The song the whole world still knows them for, the biggest hit they ever had, was a Dawn Robinson lead. You don't get to carry someone's voice and then forget it's theirs. Some voices don't let go, even when you want them to. Number 6, Dennis Edwards and the Temptations. When the Temptations fired David Ruffin in June of 1968, they had to find someone who could even attempt to fill that space. And the man they called the next morning was Dennis Edwards, a big-voiced, gospel-trained baritone from Detroit who had been working with a Motown group called the Commodores. Ruffin himself had recommended Dennis, told him about the job at 4 o'clock in the morning the night before. Dennis Edwards stepped into the Temptations and didn't collapse under the weight of what he'd inherited. He carried it. Cloud 9 in 1969, Grammy for Best Rhythm and Blues Group Performance. Ball of Confusion in 1970. And Papa Was a Rolling Stone in 1972, another Grammy, and one of the most recorded songs in soul music history. Here's something most people don't know. Aretha Franklin wrote Daydreaming in 1972 about Dennis Edwards. That song went #1. The greatest female voice in the history of R&B wrote one of her biggest hits about this man. Then in 1977, the Temptations left Motown for Atlantic Records, and Otis Williams fired Dennis Edwards. Cocaine use, attitude issues, not showing up. Dennis didn't just lose his job, he went to Cleveland and spent time laying concrete driveways for his uncle. But then the Temptations needed him back in 1979. Louis Price, his replacement, hadn't worked out. Dennis returned in 1980. Williams told him, and I'm paraphrasing only slightly, "Don't pull that again." In 1982, Dennis was part of the reunion album and tour that brought Ruffin, Kendricks, and Edwards all back together under one banner. And then they fired him again in 1983. Gave him a solo deal instead. He had a hit, Don't Look Any Further, a duet with Siedah Garrett in 1984 that reached #2 on the R&B chart. Beautiful song. And then they brought him back in 1987 because Woodson, his replacement, started showing up late to shows. And then they fired him a third time in 1989, 3 times.
I'll still be looking in your ebony eyes.
The Temptations hired and fired Dennis Edwards 3 times. Some people say they were indecisive. I say the truth is simpler. They just couldn't do it without him. Dennis Edwards passed away on February 2, 2018, and the Temptations have never had that voice again. Number 5, David Ruffin and the Temptations.
You know how much I do.
David Ruffin joined the Temptations in 1964, replacing a member who had gotten into a physical fight with his own bandmates. He started on background vocals, and then Smokey Robinson wrote a song specifically for his voice. You know the song, My Girl. It went #1 in 1965 and became the Temptations' signature record for the rest of time. From there, Ruffin led the group through one of the greatest sustained runs in soul music. Ain't Too Proud to Beg, I Wish It Would Rain, Beauty Is Only Skin Deep, Since I Lost My Baby, each one a cornerstone. And as the hits stacked up and the fame got bigger, David Ruffin started to change. He wanted his name on the marquee. He wanted what Diana Ross had gotten, a billing change that would say, David Ruffin and the Temptations. He rode in his own mink-lined limousine, separate from the rest of the group. And the cocaine, which had been hovering around the edges, was becoming impossible to ignore. On June 22, 1968, Ruffin missed a concert in Cleveland. He skipped it to attend a performance by his girlfriend, Barbara Gail Martin, Dean Martin's daughter. 5 days later, on June 27, 1968, the Temptations officially fired David Ruffin. And then he started showing up uninvited to their shows. I know, but stay with me. Ruffin would appear in the audience, and when the group got to one of his songs, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, My Girl, he'd walk right up on stage, take the microphone out of Dennis Edwards' hands, and sing it. Right in the middle of the show, and the crowd would lose their minds. He did this repeatedly for weeks. The group eventually had to change the locks, figuratively speaking.
You know how much I do.
His first solo single in 1969, My Whole World Ended, The Moment You Left Me, went top 10. But the career never stayed steady. He had another hit in 1975 with Walk Away from Love, then Silence, then Cocaine, then a tax evasion conviction. Then the Temptations called him back in 1982 for the reunion tour. He missed the first 3 shows. In 1991, Ruffin and his old bandmate Eddie Kendricks had just returned from a month-long tour of England. On June 1st, David Ruffin collapsed in a Philadelphia crack house at the age of 50. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989. They gave him the honor 2 years before they lost him. The voice that made My Girl possible. The voice the Temptations couldn't keep and couldn't replace, and couldn't stop trying to bring back. Number 4. DeBarge and DeBarge. If you were anywhere near a school dance in 1985, you didn't have a choice. Rhythm of the Night was playing. That soaring, unbothered falsetto coming out of a young man from Grand Rapids, Michigan, named DeBarge. It was the kind of voice that made everything around it feel smaller. DeBarge was a family group on Motown's Gordy label. Elle, Bunny, James, Mark, and Randy. And as gifted as all of them were, the music ran through Elle. That was just the truth of it. I Like It in 1982. All This Love, Time Will Reveal, hit number 1 R&B in 1983.
I knew it from the start that I would lose my heart.
And then Rhythm of the Night in 1985, number 3 pop, number 1 R&B. 40 years later, you still hear it at parties and you still move.
That girl is playing all she says is.
But the relationship between Elle and the group had been straining for years. There were family tensions, industry pressures, and in 1986, DeBarge left. His solo debut brought Who's Johnny from the Short Circuit soundtrack. Say, Don't I Know You From Somewhere? You know that opening. It went number 3 pop in 1986. Promising.
Till you two have caught their fever.
But Elle's career went the way so many careers went. Peaks separated by long valleys of personal struggle, substance abuse, legal trouble. In 1994, Love Always hit number 1 R&B, a reminder that the voice was still there when life wasn't pulling him under. Without Elle, DeBarge released Bad Boys in 1987. It didn't sell. The family kept trying to come back together over the years. Various reunion recordings, performances. Elle kept being welcomed home and kept finding it hard to stay. His 2010 comeback album, Second Chance, captured the voice still intact, still worth your full attention. And when DeBarge performs today, it's Elle's name the promoters need on the poster. Here's what gets me about this one. That voice could have had the longest, most uninterrupted run in R&B history. The talent was never the question. It was always everything around the talent that made it hard.
A very special girl. Don't worry.
If you've ever watched someone you love be capable of so much more than they let themselves have, you already know what it feels like to hear DeBarge sing.
She says, who is Johnny? Games with me.
Number 3, Lionel Richie and the Commodores.
I sometimes see you pass outside my door.
The Commodores met at Tuskegee University in Alabama, and they made music the way that university made engineers. With precision, with purpose, and with something to prove. By the late 1970s, they were one of the biggest groups in the world.
Sometimes I feel my heart will overflow.
Brick House, Easy, Sail On, Still, and right at the center of all of it, writing most of those songs and singing the ones that broke your heart open. Lionel Richie, you know what's remarkable? Even while he was still in the Commodores, Lionel was so good that other artists were lining up for his pen.
And in my dreams I've kissed you.
Kenny Rogers recorded Lionel's Lady in 1980. It was the biggest song of that entire year. #1 pop for 6 weeks. And somewhere in that moment, Lionel Richie understood something about his own value that would change everything. In 1982, he left the Commodores to go solo. What followed was one of the most dominant runs of the entire decade. Truly hit #1 in 1982, All Night Long in 1983,
How much I care.
Hello in 1984, #1, one of the most played ballads in the history of radio, and then Say You Say Me in 1985, #1, Academy Award for Best Original Song.
So much. I love you.
4 #1s in 4 years. Hundreds of millions of records sold across his career. Some people call it the greatest solo run the 80s produced.
Hello.
Now, to their credit, the Commodores didn't just fall apart. They brought in a new vocalist named J.D. Nicholas, and in 1985 they released Night Shift,
I've just got to let you know.
a tribute to Marvin Gaye and Jackie Wilson. It won the Grammy for Best R&B Song, a beautiful, dignified piece of music. And if you've been to a funeral where that song played, you know it still carries weight. But Night Shift was lightning in a bottle. It was a goodbye disguised as a song, and the Commodores couldn't find the follow-up to it. They've performed with Richie at tribute events and reunion shows over the years. They've said in interviews they want him back. Lionel has shown up when it matters.
I sometimes see you pass outside my door.
Sometimes you let the best thing you had walk out the door gracefully, and then you spend the rest of the time hoping it comes back for the right moment. #2, Aaron Hall and Guy.
Holding you in my arms.
Here is a sentence that should not be true. Aaron Hall was discovered singing in the back room of a shoe store in Brooklyn. Not a studio, not a church where a label scout happened to be attending Sunday service, a shoe department. Aaron Hall was working in Abraham and Strauss, stocking shoes, when a man named Timmy Gatling heard him singing in the stockroom and told him he needed to meet a teenage keyboard prodigy named Teddy Riley. The three of them formed Guy in 1987, signed to Andre Harrell's Uptown Records, released their debut album in 1988. It went double platinum, #1 R&B, Groove Me, I Like, Teddy's Jam, Spend the Night. This was the sound that introduced New Jack Swing to the world. Hip-hop rhythms under silky R&B vocals, built to move a room and break a heart at the same time. The follow-up, The Future, came in 1990. Platinum, more hits, more proof. But underneath all of it, the group was being quietly relucted by their manager, Gene Griffin, who controlled their publishing and income with a grip that left the members with almost nothing. Legal battles, financial exploitation, personal tragedy. Riley's brother Brandon was shot and killed during this period. By 1991, Guy collapsed not from failure, but from the weight of being taken advantage of at the height of their success. Aaron Hall went solo. Don't Be Afraid, from the Juice soundtrack in 1992. His debut album, The Truth, came in 1993. I Miss You reached number 2 R&B, number 14 pop. Teddy Riley formed Blackstreet and went on to make No Diggity in 1996, one of the most recognizable songs of that decade. But when Teddy Riley needed Guy to come back, the 1999 reunion album, the New Jack Revival Tour in 2005 and 2006, the 2009 BET Awards performance, he needed Aaron Hall. Because Aaron Hall is what Guy sounds like. Without that voice, you have a Teddy Riley production. With it, you have the group that started something. Some of y'all heard Groove Me for the first time at a house party and never fully recovered. You know which party that was, and you know whose voice it was. Number 1, Bobby Brown and New Edition. Bobby Brown was one of the 3 boys who started New Edition in the Orchard Park housing projects in Boston in 1978. He and Michael Bivins and Ricky Bell were singing together before any of them were teenagers. They added Ronnie DeVoe and Ralph Tresvant, won a talent show, got a record deal that paid them each $1.87 for their first major tour. $1.87. Ralph Tresvant still has a photo of the check. They went on to sell millions of records. Candy Girl, Cool It Now, Mr. Telephone Man, clean-cut teen idols, matching suits, choreography tight enough to make you feel like you were missing something.
This is the first time you're seeing the hard show dances with me.
And right in the middle of all that precision was Bobby Brown, rawer, wilder, more himself than the image allowed. He started adding things to his performances that management didn't approve of. He was missing flights. A brawl erupted on stage in Oakland, California in 1985. Bobby threw a microphone at Michael Bivins. In December 1985, with pressure from MCA Records and their management, the group voted Bobby Brown out. Their manager told them, "Your friendship with him is going to cost you your record deal." They were teenagers making a business decision nobody should have put in front of teenagers. Michael Bivins has said in interviews since then, "It was kinda wrong for us to do it." Bobby Brown was 16 years old. His solo debut had a #1 R&B single, Girlfriend, in 1986, and then Don't Be Cruel arrived in 1988. And everything changed. Five Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 singles. My Prerogative hit #1 pop and R&B. Every Little Step won the Grammy. And in 1988, Bobby Brown went on a world tour, with New Edition as one of his opening acts. The group that voted him out was opening for him. All four of the other New Edition members have had successful solo careers. None of them had anything close to what Bobby had at that moment. In 1996, all six members, including Bobby, including Johnny Gill, who had been brought in to replace him, reunited for the album Home Again. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. The 2017 BET biopic, The New Edition Story, was watched by millions of people. They received their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in January of 2017. They've toured together multiple times since. Bobby Brown helped found this group when he was 10 years old. He was voted out at 16. He became one of the most successful solo artists of the decade, and then New Edition came crawling back. You know what? They were right to. They were wrong to need to, but they were right to.